Hello everyone, welcome back to Catholic Saints Daily. In today's video we'll be looking at a saint that is under the radar, but what I believe is the most important in today's world. The saint we'll be learning about today is Saint Dymphna. Now if you haven't heard of Saint Dymphna, then this video will be extremely interesting, learning about her story and the steps she had to take to become a saint. To begin, Dymphna was born in Ireland in the 7th century to a noble family. Her family dynamic back then was interesting. Her father was a pagan and her mother was a devout Christian, which is strange because Ireland back then was predominantly Catholic, and so that I guess that type of relationship would be looked down upon, especially back then. Another fact about Dymphna was that she took a vow of chastity at 14 years old to fully commit herself to the will of God. In today's world, I think that would be looked down upon because it is so countercultural, and it would be very newsworthy because not many people in today's world are taking vows of chastity, let alone a 14-year-old girl. So she was very different and holy, especially from a young age. The story of Dymphna's life is similar to many saints in which there's a lot of tragedy. It begins with the death of her mother, which was shortly after Dymphna took those vows of chastity. Her father, Damon, was especially affected by the death of his wife, as would many fathers and husbands. If you lose a spouse or a child, that would greatly affect your sense of your stability, I guess. So her father, Damon, was deteriorating mentally into a state of confusion and suffering and grieving. And following his wife's death, Damon's counselors suggested he remarry another woman, I guess, in my opinion, as a way of pulling him out of that mental state of depression, which he was in despair. And so Damon agreed to remarry, but only if he could find a wife that was as beautiful as his previous one. So they went out and they searched, I guess, all over Ireland, throughout the nation with no real success, and no wife was found, obviously. And so Damon went back to his normal routine. He resumed his despair and spiraled into a very, very dangerous mental space. And after failing to find a worthy wife, Damon's counselors again suggested that he remarry his own daughter, Dymphna, because she's the one who most resembled his wife, obviously. Doesn't take much to know that this is a gravely sinful thought, as well as actual taking this into action. But I guess at the time, Damon's mental state was so confused and despair was all around him that he seriously entertained this idea. And he, in fact, every time he looked at his daughter, Dymphna, he saw his own wife, which is not good if you're hallucinating like that. So after Damon agreed to remarry his own daughter, obviously word got around, and as Dymphna learned of her father's intentions, she fled the country. She fled the country with her confessor, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Gerabran, and they fled to what is now Belgium. Now, Damon pursued his own daughter and eventually found her, and after trying to persuade her to marry him, she obviously refused because she was a very holy person and also took a vow of chastity to fully commit herself to God. Damon was not pleased with this decision and refusal by his own daughter, so he beheaded her and her confessor out of rage and returned to Ireland. Now, this is a very heavy course of action because her own father, A, wanted to marry her, and then B, just murdered her in cold blood out of his own selfishness and despair-driven actions, and then just left as if nothing happened. So the citizens of what is now Belgium placed her remains in a cave nearby as a way of giving her, I guess, a proper burial. Obviously, that is a very difficult way to die, by being beheaded by your own father. So they wanted to pay her some respect and at least buried her somewhere private in a cave. And so that's really the story of Dymphna. She was declared a martyr in 620 A.D., and then eventually a shrine was built, and people all over the world would make a pilgrimage to her shrine, where there were recordings of miraculous healings of certain mental disorders and just all over, I guess, general healings, I guess, that would be associated with physical or mental healings. And so her feast day is on May 15th, and she is the official patron saint of mental disorders, as well as other things, but I want to focus strictly on the mental disorders because I find it very important, especially in today's world, where there's so much suffering in the mental health category. Now more than ever, there's research. There's more research and openness when it comes to mental health than in previous years, and it was looked down upon or not really understood. And in today's world, we can all see that there's much confusion going on in the political world, and especially in the just day-to-day lives of just average people. So I think Dymphna is a saint who can help people suffering from these mental illnesses and maybe not be cured, but at least know that there's someone out there who has experienced firsthand what someone suffering from a mental illness is going through. And so I think she can be a very beneficial friend to call upon in times of need and doubt. And that's why I think she's an underrated saint who has been forgotten about, or no one even knows. I didn't even know until a couple weeks ago. But I think is especially needed in the current climate. And so I believe that the more we turn to her, the more help we can receive, either spiritually by God allowing her to intercede for us and healing us spiritually. Maybe not receiving an actual miracle. Maybe we do, but I think she could be beneficial to the spiritual growth of especially our youth today who are experiencing severe mental health disorders, just being a good friend to them. So yeah, hopefully y'all like this video. I hope to post pretty soon, maybe in a week, so just be on the lookout for that. And I hope y'all take this to heart and y'all start researching more about Dymphna and, you know, have a level of interest in her and her life that I think should be more recognized and promoted. So please like and subscribe, and I hope y'all have a good day. Thank you.